everyone, and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this live stream event. My name is Alexia, and I am the Program Manager of the Microsoft Reactor Toronto. I will be sharing session resources with you in the chat, but before we begin, I'd like to quickly review two items, our Code of Conduct and Event Guidelines. First, please take a moment to review our Code of Conduct. Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. And secondly, our event guidelines. The session is being recorded and will be available on demand through the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. I will be sharing the link in the chat for our on-demand content. And if you have not been on a live stream through YouTube before, please note that you must create an account on YouTube in order to have access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now, and if you're unable to use the chat but have questions, feel free to reach out to us through social media or on our website. Which brings us to today's session. I'm going to bring in our speaker here for today. Hi, Rory. How's it going?
I am super pumped. This is an exciting session. I've been waiting the whole week to do it, though. I have so many toys and gadgets and gizmos to show you and how to get to the Copilot stack. And I'm so appreciative of the Microsoft Reactor to host me today.
Well, we are very thankful to have you and very lucky. So without further ado, just get it started. Let's go.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Rory Preddy. I'm a principal advocate from Microsoft based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I've got brown hair, I'm wearing glasses, and I'm wearing a black shirt. And I'm going to speak to you today of an incredible new topic. And you've heard it with the Copilot this and Copilot that and everything. But we actually have a Copilot stack just recently announced. And I'm going to showcase how you can use developer tools with that. So hold on, there's a lot to take in over here, and we're going to do some really, really nice live demos with this, though. So 0 to hero with the Microsoft Copilot stack. Let's get started here. So we're going to do an introduction. We're going to look at some of the developer tooling on to use the Copilot stack. We're going to look at GitHub Copilot, the Azure Developer CLI, and then we're going to do some demos. And one of the demos that I'm going to showcase with you is how to get started from absolutely nothing to hero with Copilot and the tooling here. So first of all, what is a Copilot? Anyone put your hands up here on the chat, on the channels there? Can you tell me what a Copilot actually is, though? Because I know what it is, and working for Microsoft, I have about 100 of these things floating around on my PC. It's an application using modern AI to assist you with complex cognitive tasks. I like to say, hey, you want to be lazy? This is how you really be productive and lazy around that, though. But in truth, it's really to take something and to make you more productive with something that you find mundane. And we've got so many nice little tools that let you actually do that. We've got ChatGPT with Bing. We've got Copilot for Work with Office 365, Copilot on the platform with Windows for sellers, and also assisted coding. And the reason that we have all of these, for the last 4 years, Microsoft and OpenAI have been improving products with the foundation models. We've been doing this for 4 years. So we also can show you how to build your own ones, which is a part of this session. And we have the research to back that up. We've got 8 global research centers. We've got so many different researchers, patents, published papers, and we were the first on a lot of the parities for speech and language. We created the Copilot stack. Now, a lot of people are saying to me, hey, Rory, I don't know what this is actually. And it's pretty simple. You've got all surrounded by AI and security. You've got the recently announced Copilot Studio, and that lets you go in and create your own Copilots and train it. Then you've got the Microsoft Copilot, which is all of the Copilots you see floating around. Then you've got your Copilots, and then we've got the Microsoft apps, so Power Platform and Biz Apps. We've got AI orchestration, semantic kernel, prompt flow. You got your data, so it can learn and train off your data. Then you got the foundation models and AI tool chains, and then the AI infrastructure. We're going to be covering the AI infrastructure, orchestration, your data, foundation models. We're not really going to be covering the above part here. But if I'm invited again, maybe I will cover it there. And they all run on Azure, on the Microsoft cloud, though. What we're going to be showing you today is how to use and optimize GitHub Copilot to create these, and then also the Azure Developer CLI. The Azure Developer CLI is a bespoke tool that we created that is infrastructure as code that allows you to go in and take that AI that you want to deploy somewhere and easily do it, and with the template. I've just got a question here. What is the laser pointer tool you're using? This is the Logitech Spotlight, and it's even got my name here, Rory Preddy here, and it allows you to actually go in and laser point this. So go get yourself a Robert Shirtleff, a Logitech presenter. So let's go back here and let's see. Okay, so next we're going to go GitHub Copilot. I want to share something with you. And this is a nice little DALL-E 3 image there that I said. This is someone who's co-piloting and coding here. And you can see that person is really helping the person get into the zone. What is the zone? We did a survey there, and we said to hundreds of developers, what does GitHub Copilot Chat really help you with? And they said, well, 88% of them said, you know what, it helps me with focus, staying in the focus. Inspiration, while in focus, it helps me and inspires me to give me ideas. And then finally, enjoyment, joy. I am a big fan of dopamine, and I like to code and go in these binges of code that allow me to go ding, 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 ding to get that dopamine. And nothing really gets as much dopamine and as enjoyment as GitHub Copilot Chat here. So if you want to see our lovely survey that explains a lot of this, you can go to aka.ms/flow-state and how you can actually stay in the flow. So what does Copilot do really to get you in that flow, though? So you've got your code here. In this case, just a little bit of JavaScript. Oh, this is Go, actually, not JavaScript. But it can run any language. And what it does, it gets the context of your code and then writes suggestions. So a long time ago, we had a small company, maybe you've heard of it, GitHub. And GitHub had 80 million repositories and millions, hundreds of millions of developers on it. And we said to them, if we sanitize that, obviously for privacy, we're not going to take code that it doesn't belong to us. But if we have public repositories, we can train a foundation model on those 80 million repositories. And we did that. And GitHub Copilot actually uses GPT 3.5, but we recently upped it to GPT-4. So it's really the same as you would use ChatGPT. And it allows you to take the context and create a chat with it. So what can you do? And one of the favorite things I like to do in GitHub Copilot Chat, remember, what we're going to do is we're going to show you with the GitHub Copilot stack. So I'm just showcasing some of the tools. One is create workspace. So over here, I'm going to go create a React REST application to store tasks. Now, when I do the create workspace, what I'm going to do in GitHub Copilot Chat is I'm going to call an agent. An agent is something sitting in the background that is going to let me do more. And the workspace agent allows me to go in and create an entire workspace. So you can see there, here's your React application, and I can just go create workspace. And I've got it though. And this saves me a lot of time, and this also keeps me in the flow. Now, we want to keep ourselves in the flow because we want to go and write the Copilot stack. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the demos here. We also want to, don't get bogged down with things like unit testing. So if I've got a unit test there, I don't want to have to go, okay, cool, take me out of the flow. I just want to go, cool, go in and create some unit tests for me. Or if I want to do the same for a GitHub action to go in and do my CI/CD, or even something like create a class, I can actually do that. It's very important to understand if I have to stop and think of how to do something, then the flow is broken, and I don't want to do that. we also have comments and explanations. If you've got a brownfields, a legacy project, you can just go in there and say, what does this do? And you can specify that in here, and you can go Copilot. Tell me what this does. And I've had to do this recently because I had to do some really harsh thread blocking and non-blocking. And I was like, oh, what does this do? Help me around there. And I had to revisit how to do that. You can also see there's Copilot, and I can also go generate docs. So it's great if you want to hand it over or explain to another developer. So everything's in the flow and everything's great. Now we also want to see, okay, what can it do more than that? So it can increase your developer velocity, accelerate your innovation. So once you're in the flow, you can go, now I can be creative and not worry about mundane things. I can bridge skill gaps if I don't know how to do something. Like one of the things that I didn't know how to do and prepare for this demo was write React code. But I did that with the help of Copilot. And then finally, developer productivity and satisfaction. I want that dopamine ping. I want to be able to go, oh, wow, this is so exciting to be a coder with GitHub Copilot. Now, yeah, that's great and everything, but what do we want to deploy? Now I can go into Visual Studio Code and I can right-click and deploy, but I want to do a little bit more than that. I want to be able to deploy in the flow. I want to introduce you the Azure Developer CLI. Now, what it does, it allows you to take your code to cloud journey. So you can see there which cloud service, what libraries, how do I provision my infrastructure, configure roles and permissions, run locally, deploy to cloud, monitoring, CI/CD. All I really want, remember that React app that I just created with the workspace, is just an app running in the cloud with CI/CD and monitoring. Now I want to show you something. Recently, they added cloud native build packs to the Azure Developer CLI. And it takes all of this. So this is the bicep template here. And it goes in there and says, I can optimize this for a service on Azure for you. So all you need to do there is go AZD init, and it will initialize it. AZD app, go in and create your container for you, your custom cloud native container. Monitor if you want to go and monitor it with Azure Monitor, and then pipeline config. And then you've got your app in the cloud. So let's see a short little explanation of this. So I've got AZD init. Remember that React application? I didn't know how to create React before this demo. So I've got my React application. This is a nice little task application there. And remember, we prompted this in the workspace to go in and create it. So I've got my task list here. And now I've got my AZD init. Now watch what I'm going to do here. It's going to go, okay, AZD init. And it's going to go and scan for use the code in the current directory. I can also do select a template. It's going to scan it, and it's going to say, oh, you want to use Azure Container Apps. It was as quick as that. So it knew, wait a second, I know what you're trying to do. And then it went and created my bicep files. So if you've got existing source files, there it is. And this is my React application. Now in the demo, I'm going to show you how to do this with a little bit more advanced with Java. But I don't know how to create React, and I want you to get into the flow. So create it with Workspace, create the workspace. And then I want to deploy to Azure. I go into with the Azure Developer CLI, and I go, okay, cool, initialize. And then I just go up. And very similar to Terraform, it uses Bicep. It can also use Terraform. It's going to initialize all of that, build my Docker container for me. All the time, I'm in that flow. I'm getting that dopamine. It's just excellent. And it's going to create that, deploy my applications. Yeah, I have sped this up a little bit here. And then remember, my React app was a task app there. A simple little task app there. It's going to create my resources. And all the time, it's going to prompt me on what it's doing. So it's going to deploy, there's my app, and then I got my tasks. When I did this and I created my tasks, I go, I can code in React because I've got GitHub Copilot supporting me, and I've got the Azure Developer CLI. Now, this was easy to do with React, as easy to do with OpenAI. The whole point of this talk is to look at the Copilot stack. And we're really going to showcase some of that nice flow with that though. And then you can also do AZD monitor, operationalize, and also pipeline config. Now I'm going to show a lot of this in the demo. So you can quickly go from ideation to production. You've got your code and IDEs, you've got your DevOps and cloud tools, and then you can also take all of that with your cloud platform. So your GitHub Copilot chat, your DevOps and cloud tools, your Azure Developer CLI, and then finally, you can use any language with any developer. Now, I could have done that demo in Go, in Java, in PHP, in anything though, because we support all of that. But the nice thing about it, if I don't know how to do that and Copilot can't help me, I can actually leverage the Azure Developer CLI templates. So there's a listing of 100 templates. In this example here, I wanted to do OpenAI. I'm going to showcase that demo a little bit later. So you can see there OpenAI, and it gives me all those demos. And then the one that I chose, you can access all of that on aka.ms awesome AZD. The one that I chose recently, I was called up by the United Nations, and they said, Rory, we need you to go and train a hackathon. It was the UN ODC hackathon on anti-corruption. So I said, okay, what language? They go .NET. I go, I'm not a .NET developer. I'm a Java developer. Yeah, and OpenAI. And I go, okay. We need you to show them how to consume their own data. So, okay, cool. I know what to do. I'm just going to go AZD in it, and I'm going to use that sample. And I'm going to showcase this demo a little bit later. So what it does, that demo, and it uses the Microsoft Copilot stack. You take your app and you go query your knowledge with Cognitive Search, and that is going to go query your own data that you used, and you went and chunked that data into Cognitive Search, and it's going to take OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, and it's going to go and prompt and response that. And that's really what most people want the Copilot stack to do. They want to query your own data. And once I did that, you can see that there's the anti-corruption data that I had there. There's my template. So I just popped their data. So they phoned me up and they said, Rory, I want you to take these files and train us on this. And I said, okay, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all these files here. I'm going to load them. It's going to chunk your own data there. And in the hackathon, I started training them on their own data on how to actually go in and utilize the Copilot stack. You can see there, it's using Form Recognizer, which is Azure Data Intelligence, Document Intelligence. I've indexed it there. I've chunked the data there. And now I've got it in the Azure Cognitive Search, which is basically Elastic, but it's our version of Elastic. You can see that there's the data there for the anti-corruption. And then I've got my data there. Now you can actually go chat with your data, and it'll prompt you to go through that. And this is really the Copilot stack. You can see there I'm generating an answer. What is corruption in the private sector? And it'll prompt you to go through and create a chat-like experience. I'm generating an answer there. And you can also go through the thought process, and you can change the meta prompt there. You can also go through the supporting content. And this is what I did for the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime to combat anti-corruption. So that's all the slides I wanted to show you. 20 minutes of slides here. Now I'm going to go through the demo, and then we're going to cover exactly what I did in the demo coming back, and I'm going to give you a call to action. Let's go look at the chat. I've got Mo saying, is there any difference between RADA, AI Assistant, and GitHub Copilot? Not too sure, Mo. I've never used the RADA AI Assistant, so you need to tell me that. And then I've got Bhavan. Does it work with Microsoft 365 Finance? Not too sure about that also, though, but I'm going to get you to actually go back and tell me that also, though. I'm not a finance dude, even though I did work in banking for 15 years. Okay, so let's go out of here. Now I'm going to show you. Okay, so hold on for your horses, because this demo knocked my socks off. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, and I'm going to use Insider, Visual Studio Code Insider's Edition here. Let's go in, and I want to go clear the chat here. Let's go here, new session. So I've got Visual Studio Code. Let's go make that a bigger. Hey, Rory, Preddy, how can I help you? Hello, GitHub Copilot Chat, and I've got the Copilot Chat extension, and I've got some other language extensions. So you can see there, I can go help, and it'll give me all of those things. But one of the things I want to show you here, I'm going to go at Workspace. So if I go to workspace and I can go new, what that is going to do is going to allow me to create a new workspace. So I want to be in the code. I want to say, hey, you know what I need? I need a new project. I want a project that goes and connects to OpenAI and creates an app for my daughter. My daughter actually helped me create that. She's 7. That goes in and creates a storybook with images. So I'm going to say to it, hey, first thing I'm going to do is I want a project. So I've got a nice little prompt there that I've actually asked ChatGPT to help me create this. And I've got the project prompt here. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go, hey, create a new Maven project with a pom.xml file for Jakarta EE servlet. So that's an old school Java application. I'm going to show you how to do this old school with an old technology using Java 17. Include the dependencies for Jakarta EE web. So just a web application, and also OpenAI. Also create a JSP file, which is like an HTML file, with a form to call the servlet and pass a string parameter called animal. Make them Maven group ID and blah, 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 and do not generate tests. And then I'm going to go, okay, run it. And it's going to go, okay, Kate, you know, I'm ChatGPT. I know how to do this. I'm going to go create that actual workspace for me. There he is. And I can go in there and I can go create workspace. Let's go into dev there. And I want to go into my Tomcat apps. And I can actually go in there. I can just go in and create my application. It is going to take a minute or two. Actually, not a minute. You can see there it's going to create my file. Now, understand also, if I ask it for too much, it's got like a timer that it's going to take it. Just like ChatGPT, you know, it kind of wants to help you. But if you ask for too much, it's going to time out. Now, we want to create a very basic program to get the Copilot stack there. So I've created a very basic project, but I am going to go into the finished project to do a little more and showcase what I had to do. So I've created the workspace. It's busy creating the POM there. And then I need to create something that takes in an animal. I'm going to make an animal book for my daughter, and then creates an image using DALL-E with Azure OpenAI. Then what we're going to do after that demo, we're going to go big bang. We're going to go consume data, and we're going to show you semantic kernel and how to get started with the Azure OpenAI AZD templates. Okay, so it's even, look at that. It's even creating a README for me. Okay, I'll take it. If you wanted to create a README for me, that's me being lazy, and that's also me being in the flow. You can see here, we're in the flow. I can go get some coffee. My workspace is busy creating. And after that, I'm going to go create my servlet. So let's go in here. There's my application. If I go into my source file here, I can see that the POM is actually created. It's got all of my necessary files here. It's even got those, remember those dependencies. I've even got my dependencies that I asked it to create here. And this works for any language, for .NET, for JavaScript, for PHP, for Python, for all of that. You can actually go in and create the workspace. I've even got, look at that, my servlet application. It's going to take in a parameter, received animal, and in my web application, got some nice little HTML file that we can do that. But I want to create my servlet application. I want to do a little bit more meaty. So I've got a little prompt here. And in my prompt here, okay, it's not a little bit here, but I asked ChatGPT, hey, create a prompt for me that works with ChatGPT that will go in and create a servlet. And in the servlet here, let's make it a little bit bigger, because I want it to go in and check this prompt. Hey, this is some meat. And I'm a prompt engineer now, because I can tell you now that I wrote this by hand. So create a complete Java servlet this time called animal generator, and do some coding in it, a logger instance, init method, and then on the do get, take in that animal, and then go in and process a request. You can see there, create a 30-word story about it, and then take that image, take that story and go create an image of it. Now I can do this in the prompt, and I can flow with it. So I can go, okay, cool, let's run that. So I've got my servlet, and I'm going to go, and here's your servlet, and you can see there it's putting the imports there. It's got my web servlets, creating my logger, my initialize. It's connecting to OpenAI, Azure OpenAI. It's then processing the request, create a 30-word story, it's then going in and getting the image URL. It does, and it says, hey, I don't know how to do the image URL. Can you go help me? And that's where I need to step in though. So that's the only part that I need to step in. So let's go into here and let's go into Tomcat 10. And here's the finished application. So once I had that, let's make that a little bit smaller then. Once I had that, I went in and all I had to change there was to go in and change it to be multi-threaded, which was a little bit difficult. I had to remember how to actually create a multi-threaded non-blocking code. But ChatGPT helped me with that. I get the image URL. And you can see there, I had to remember how to block on that. And then I go in and build my chat message, and I get the image URL. So it's pretty simple around that. I'm not going to go in too much detail around that. You can access the project. It's on roryp/Tomcat OpenAI. So if you can pop that into the channel, it's github.com/roryp and then /Tomcat OpenAI. You can go in and access all of the code. If you're a servlet developer there, you want to do. So that's great. So then I can run this. So let's run this here. Let's go here. And I can start it here, and I can go, okay, cool, it's deployed here, and I can go server actions, show in browser here. Let's see what it actually went in and created. So here's my story here. And I asked it also, hey, Copilot, make it pretty for me. And this was wonderful because it even added the CSS flow. So I've got my animal. Remember, we asked it to create this. I'm going to go in and create a dog, and then I'm going to go generate the story. What it's doing, it's going to Azure OpenAI with, remember, the foundation model of the Copilot stack. And then it's going to go in and get a 30-word story. Charlie, the brave little dog, embarked on an adventurous race to an unknown forest, discovering unknown trails, making friends, and returning home each dusk, tail wagging, and spirit's eye. And here's the image of Charlie. Now, all of this was in a flow. So I created my workspace. I created my servlet to go in and call everything. And then I actually went in and created my HTML with that around it. But what Rory, testing, you told me unit tests that I can actually get done. Yeah, I know. So let's go back into here. Now I've got one more prompt here. And now I'm going to go into and say, hey, can you create some tests for me? So I can go tests, and I can go create a, for example, in some tests that you want to do, playwright test. And I can go playwright test, create a playwright test. So I can go in there, and I already did create this afterwards, as I've got my playwright test already here. So when it comes back here and go, okay, cool, I'm sorry for the confusion. The code doesn't contain anything that would be tested. It's just wow. Okay, so maybe the prompting was, oh, there we go. Oh, okay, so it was just a little bit confused there. Okay, expected test there. So when I did get that right, I went in and I created a playwright test. So let's go in and close that there, my servlet, and I've got that over here. I've got a little bit, and there we go. And now I've got my playwright test. Now what this is going to do in this playwright test, you can see there, I'm not a JavaScript developer, but I said, go create a playwright test for me, and then I can go in and I can go test my application. Remember, we're running this right now, and I can even go into the test explorer. I can go show browser, and it's got my browser there. And now it's going to go in. It went in there and it created. Now it's going to run the end-to-end test for me with my playwright test. So I created my workspace. I created my servlet and my web application. I deployed it locally. Now I can actually go in and I can just take this application here. We want to just go down there. We want to go my servlet there. And let's just close that up there. And then I've got my application. Now to deploy this to Azure. Now I'm not going to use Azure Developer CLI, but I can actually just go right click here. And then I can go deploy to web app. And I've got it running on Azure app there. And it's pretty simple. You can go Azure here. And let's go see it. Okay, sign into Azure. Of course, I'm going to multi-factor authentication live on air for everyone here. Okay, let's go pick an account. Yes, we're in here, and we're going to go sign into Azure here. And what this is going to allow me to do, let's go filter on the correct Let's go filter there, and we want to go select subscriptions, and we want to go to the CA subscription, my Cloud Advocate subscription. Cool. Now, what does Azure Developer CLI give you more than this? Now, Azure Developer CLI allows you to do exactly what I'm doing with the, let's go refresh there. But it doesn't need you. So you can see I'm kind of like, what am I need to do here? How do I need to do this? And already my flow is broken. So I don't want to break my flow here. There's my application, and I can go right click, and I can go, and this is on Azure here. You can go to and play around with it. Please don't break it too much here, but you can actually go play around with it here. So let's go browse website, and you can go deploy, and it's let's go into here. You can go into it now live on air. Hello rpza.azurewebsites.net. And then it also will do that dog. And that's just deployed to Azure. It's connecting to Azure OpenAI. You do need, if you're going to do this yourself with the Tomcat code, you need to put in your Azure OpenAI key and also your URL there. And there it is there. So you can go to hello rpza.azurewebsites.net. Let me pop that into the StreamYard chat. There we go. You can go in and access that. So yeah, all of this is like pretty nifty. But did you notice there that it was a little bit broken, the flow, when we did that? So I want to show you now. I'm going to go open recent, and I'm going to go to the Reactor project there. Now what I've done here, this project is the Azure Developer CLI. And let's just close that here. And it's got all of my necessary bicep files. It's also got my app, and you can also use your own source. Now you can go in, so let's go into here, and let's go into awesome AZD. You can go in and you can start running this yourself here. Remember the Copilot stack, you can run it like I did there, where I just built everything from scratch. Or you can also go, hey, I want to go OpenAI. What can I do? And I want to go OpenAI, I want to use Java. Now, what I did here is I used this repo here. This repo is a Java conversion of the very well-known enterprise data code sample, originally developed in Python. And you can click through here, and it'll say, okay, that's the view in GitHub. But what you can do here is you can just go AZD init the application. So let's go in here and see exactly how to do. Let's close that up here. So you can actually just go copy that code here, and let's go open and go CMD. Let's go into the Rory Preddy folder here, and let's go into dev mkdir reactor test, and then cd reactor test. And now if I initialize that application, go like that, check what it's going to do. It's going to download that template that I've got there, and I can call the environment name test rpza. Now I can just go code dot, well, let's just go ls dir, yeah, code dot. I've got my application. Now, if I wanted to get this application working, guess what I have to do to actually just run it? I just have to go AZD up. That's it. And then I've got the Copilot stack that has got my foundational model and all of that with that. So I don't want to run this application here. I actually want to showcase the one that I've already got. So let's close that up here. And you can see there, I've got my app. And this app takes your data files here. In this case, if you remember what I did for the UN here, it's got, this has got some employee benefits here. It's got an app that is written in Java with Spring. With Spring. And let's go in here, main. And it's got some nice little Java applications here. It's a very detailed application. I want to show you what it is, and then I'm going to go back to Copilot. I'm going to ask Copilot to help me understand exactly what this does. Because if I go into ask approaches, it's got so many different things here. So I don't know what's going on. So let's go in and let's go and say, someone help me with this application. So let's go into here. And I've got the application already running here. There we go. There we go. I just want to take that StreamYard link off there before I close that accidentally. And I have done that before. I have closed StreamYard before accidentally. Okay, so let's go into here. So this is the application. It says ask your data. And you can see there it's got chat, or you can ask a question. But look at this, developer settings. So this is what I loved about it. It actually gives you the opportunity to use the normal OpenAI SDK, the semantic kernel with memory, or the semantic kerning with orchestration. And you can also use the semantic ranker and also the retrieval modes and also like that. Like, so many different choices. How am I supposed to know what's going on? And that's where GitHub Copilot really chat comes into play. So you can also ask your data. So let's go into here. Let's leave it on there. So I've put on a lot of nice little changes there, and I can go, okay, cool. Does my plan cover eye exams? Remember, this is an HR system here, and it's going to generate your answer here. And it's using semantic kernel and vectorization and cognitive search and all of that in there. And I know it's using cognitive search because I've got the cognitive search there with all of the tooling around that. And I checked it before that everything was loaded there. And I got my exam. So how does this work? And that's really where the flow comes in. Because if you want to use that template, you also want to have the opportunity to say, I'm totally lost. How do I actually do this? So here it is. And I can go into a class here. And I can go, okay, cool, semantic kernel, and I can go, GitHub Copilot chat, here, GitHub Copilot chat, workspace. How does the semantic kernel help this project to retrieve my custom data? What the workspace is going to do. And now I'm in the flow. I want to understand how this is working and everything. It's going to go in and scan those hundreds of files in my workspace that you've got here. You can see that it's working all of this here. And it's going to go, okay, cool. This is ChatGPT understanding your entire project for you. And this allowed me, when I did all of that in my projects, to stay in the flow. Like, I've got an idea. I don't have to go to Stack Overflow. I don't have to go outside of my Visual Studio instance. I can stay in here and not go out of it if I have a query. At the same time, I can go in there. I can use all of those Azure Developer CLI. I can take advantage of the Microsoft Copilot stack files and templates and learn how to go into the flow with the Microsoft Copilot. Look at that. It's the semantic kernel library is used. However, the information, it's not clear. So it's saying to, okay, what I need to do, but it's telling me, for example, the memory approach is how to do it. Okay, we can click through that. And then I can go into this file here and I can go, okay, cool. How does this work here? Wow. I can go, okay, explain. And let's go there. I can go right click that and I can go Copilot, explain this. Look at that. You see the dopamine flying around here at any given time. It's going to really help me. Look at that. It says the active signature, the question parameters of type ChatGPT conversation. It's likely a custom class. The option parameters type RAG options and gives me a RAG response here. And there's so much information, but now I can go into that template, understand how it works. I can also go and create my own custom template. But this made me so happy because, you know, if I want to go into Go template or PHP or React template, I have Copilot chat here on my side, allowing me to really take advantage and go fast, have joy, be productive, and not feel stuck through that entire process. So that's everything I wanted to show you here. Let's go in from current slide there, and let's go into, let's do a little brief summary of what I showed you, and hold on, because this is also pretty wow. So what we saw in the summary is that we had an inner loop where I showed you locally. Let's go back there for a second. This is only one problem with this thing. Sometimes your finger slips. So, okay, so we've got our dev cluster in our inner loop, and we popped into GitHub. What I didn't show you actually is that it had GitHub Actions. Let me quickly show you that, because in my GitHub Actions, I've got a build and release. And in my project here, so let's go into not that one, let's go into here. I actually created from scratch, let's close that there. And let's go into that project there. And I want to go into the Tomcat application there. And I actually asked GitHub Copilot to go, hey, go create me a GitHub Actions file there. And it went in and created. And I actually have the prompt to do that. So I actually prompted all of this to go in and create the GitHub Actions with Maven install and Ubuntu, run through it and everything. I didn't write this myself. I went in and I said, please go in. And then it deployed it to Azure for me, though. So if I go back into my Copilot, let's go into there. And let's go from current slide and there. And one more little mousey move. So I've got my inner loop. And I created my application that you saw there. And it was nice flow, create workspace, go create servlet, deploy locally. And then I pushed it to GitHub. And it actually went and pushed it to my Azure application. It tests it. It built the jar file. It popped it onto the application locally. And then it ran Playwright. It ran that application. It popped into Azure App Service on Tomcat. And using the Copilot, you can see there, the Copilot stack, I can use monitoring, I can use policies, and then I go back and it gives me the feedback loop for that though. So that's the first demo that we showed you. And the second demo, we showed you how to use the Azure Developer CLI templates there to use your cognitive search, to query your knowledge. You prompt your knowledge also with the OpenAI, all the time using your data sources in Java or Go or PHP or any language that you have. So I've got a call to action today. You can get started here. So download the GitHub Copilot chat. There's a free trial also there. You can go to aka.ms/Copilot chat. Use the Azure Developer CLI. So aka.ms/Azure Developer CLI. Let me go check if there's any questions here. There we go. And then finally, we've also got the learn. We've got the awesome AZDs. You can go aka.ms/awesome AZD. So download, use, and learn, and get into that joyful mind frame of flow to use those copilots, to go and interrogate your data, to use any language. I used an old school Tomcat JSP file there, and I used it. I created a GitHub Actions even there, and then I used the Azure Developer CLI to go in big boy, to go into data, just like I did at the UN Hackathon. So that's everything I want to do. You can take your phone out there, scan that QR code. Let's look at some of the questions we got. We are perfectly on time for that. And let's go through here. We've got, okay, no more questions here. So, okay, so we've got some new comments. This is a great resource. Yeah, we've got that also. You can ask your questions here. We're going to stay on there. And I've got, okay, so we'd answered there. We've got a lot of people on here. It says here, I would love to work with Azure's OpenAI platform, but it seems to be open to companies, not individuals. I'm working through Microsoft Generative AI for Beginners tutorial. I want to play with these tools. Yes, it is. Now, it's open to everyone. You saw there that what I did there. If I've got an Azure account and I've got a basic website, I can go in there and I can create a generative AI tool. If I want to go a little bit further, I can use a AZD template to go in there and use your own data. So it's definitely available to everyone right now. There is no wait list on Azure OpenAI. You can go in there and start right now. So that's everything that I wanted to show you today. I want to thank and I want to bring back the Reactor team and the Azure Reactor team for that. I want to thank them for their time. You can follow me on Twitter and you can download those call to actions also. Thanks, everyone. And I'm happy, you're happy. Let's get that dopamine flowing with that GitHub, Microsoft Copilot and the the Microsoft Copilot stack. Oh, it's a lot to remember. There's a Copilot there, there's a GitHub Copilot, there's Azure Developer CLI. There's a lot to do that, but it's so much fun to do this in here. I did all of that demo in one day, which is great. And I sat there, I've got my Red Bull here, and I said, okay, cool. But let's get coding. And that was the funnest time that I've had in a very long time. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you soon.